and welcome to the Leeds App podcast. I'm James, and no Rocco this week actually, but I'm here with Darragh Cunningham.
Hello there.
What a weekend. What a weekend for Rocco. He's away, he's abroad. But I think he will have missed this one, but we'll delve into that shortly. Special thanks to Bass & Bligh, sponsors of the podcast. Bass & Bligh, based in Harrogate, premium independent photographic dealership with over 60 years of experience in the trade. They specialise in cameras, binoculars, spotting scopes. They stock tons of amazing brands: Canon, Fujifilm, Nikon, Sony. Premium optics such as Swarovski, Opticron, Leica, Zeiss. An amazing selection of used gear, and if you spend £100, you can get £10 off. There's a little pop-up on the website, so just sign up with your email address there. It's bassandbligh.com. Yeah. Wow.
I'm starting to think you don't trust me because you always ask Rocco. I know he's not here and you've just taken it all yourself.
I like putting him on the spot. And that's all it is. I like seeing him sort of fluster a little bit. Sometimes he's prepared something, so I never tell him to prepare anything, but I just like putting him on the spot.
I'll jump in and say, if you're around on 6 Beulah Street in Harrogate, that's the shop.
Yep.
And actually, I was talking to someone on Instagram yesterday who put up a picture of a really cool, not so old, but maybe 10 years old, 15 years old camera. And they were like, I really want to get one of these. Where will I get it? And I instant messaged them or DM'd them and said, Bass & Bligh is where you go.
Perfect.
So
nice.
There you go.
Yeah. And I know last time we were talking about night scopes as well. So they sell all those for looking at the stars as well. Now we're coming into summer, some lovely evenings. Get yourself out into the country, one of them.
When you say looking at the stars, you don't mean like Hollywood Boulevard night vision goggles looking to see if you can see like Sarah Jessica
Leeds United
Parker
players, they're all stars, aren't they? Which segues us nicely into it. So, before we get into the Preston result and the Sheffield United result, we will just touch on the midweek Boro game. Class result, proper grit shown, just an amazing away win, which was a really tough game, made even tougher by the match officials as well.
Yeah, unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen a game where I've seen two wrongfully disallowed goals. And when that happens, you're thinking, this is going to be Leeds that. Like, we're absolutely going to concede here. And we didn't. And we dug in deep. We fought till the very end. Like, Tanaka, as everyone saw, was out on his feet. Pat Bamford came on, made a real difference.
Tanaka'd.
He was completely knackered. But yeah, I thought Bamford was brilliant when he came on. But to a man, they all stood up. They all stood up to be counted. And it kind of makes you kind of go, what was all the fuss about? You know, we had our little blip. And I did say keep the faith. I said I wasn't.
We had a meltdown. As individuals, we had meltdowns, didn't we, as well? Oh, well, we can come on to that.
Yeah, we will get there. But I did say keep the faith. I said this wasn't a team I'd seen in free fall, that we were a bit unlucky. And Boro's probably not a bad example of that, because I know someone said to me afterwards, a friend of mine said, it wasn't the best performance. I went, what do you mean it wasn't the best performance? We went away from home to the team in 5th, and we scored 3 goals and kept the clean sheet. Like, what more do you want? Like, that's a championship. That's a champion's performance.
100%. And obviously it's the same official that disallowed goals, which has been covered by everyone, but disallowed goals against Coventry away and Millwall at home. The third, 3 of them he's given away against Leeds. And I think we've had letters of apology on 2 of the occasions as a result of that. All I would say is get him to line us for every game, because, we've got a 100% win record when he's given us offside. So, maybe he's a good omen. There's a positive spin for you.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch now. I tell you what, it is a case for VAR though. Like, I don't like VAR. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, no.
I don't like it. But imagine if that had cost us.
Or it's a case for just better linesmen.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Because they do exist. I'm not going down the VAR route.
To be fair, it probably wasn't a hard call. The Tanaka one was interesting, actually. If anyone wants to go back and have a look at Tanaka's one, players are trained, obviously, to go on the kick. So he's waiting for Solomon to cross it in. So as Solomon crosses it, he goes with such perfect timing that he actually stops. If you watch it, just watch him. Because he takes a step and then he stops and he's beyond the defender at that point, but the ball's already moving, so he's totally onside. And then he takes another step and kicks it in. So if you're a lino and you're kind of looking across and you're not really focused on him, by the time you focus on him, you actually see him standing still in an offside position and then moving towards the ball. Not saying it's forgivable in any way, shape or form, because you shouldn't be doing that. But it was just a weird thing I noticed about that mistake that you don't see very often. You never see it. Like, your player goes offside, they sprint offside and, well, they sprint onside like Patrick Bamford did, and then they finish it. But he actually had timed it so well, he had time to stop and then go again. So check it out.
We've mentioned Pat Bamford a couple of times now, so it's worth just touching on that very, very slightly. What a character arc we've got. I think, a few weeks ago we were talking about, we're talking about getting Bamford back in and him being the answer. And then from Boro coming on, scoring a goal, still a goal in my eyes. And all the work rate that he put in, the running back for that sliding tackle, the nutmeg to take it up the line, the ball to Schmidt, just really stretching Boro when it mattered. And oh, his credit just went up massively with the Leeds fans from that point. From everyone sort of dreading it, that being the answer to our woes, to everyone being like, "Yes, Pat Bamford's back." We'd all forgotten the best of Pat Bamford and what that meant to us. And I'll probably mention it. Well, I'll mention it now. But the reception he got warming up in front of us at Leeds was great as well. It must have been a massive confidence boost for him. He was just beaming as well. And I don't think I've ever seen him when he got subbed on against Preston. I don't think I've ever seen him run that quickly back to the bench and take his shirt off. He was excited to get on the pitch. So yeah, so happy for him. 200th appearance in number 9 shirt. Great. There's not many people that do that over time. So congratulations to him. Basically, what a guy.
Yeah, and it's only a pity it wasn't more than 200 because injuries have really destroyed his time at Leeds. But for those 2 seasons when he managed to keep himself fit, and he was our top scorer, obviously he did enough in the championship to get us promoted as champions, even though it was only 16 goals. And I'll never forget his 17 goals in the Premier League. He was electric for the whole season. I really like Bamford. I've said it from the start. I do, I'm not oblivious to his faults, same way I'm not oblivious to Farke's faults, but I like both of them. And I'm a big fan of Pat Bamford's. And I hope, well, I'll get to my prediction in the later on, but I think Bamford has a role to play this season or in the remaining 4 games.
Definitely. And Sheffield United slipped up as when we played Boro. They'd lost 2 on the bounce at that point, which was just so good. So good. And it really put into context all of our sort of bad run, if you like, which was made up of, not one win and quite a few draws. And so actually, we come out of this now looking like, well, that wasn't too bad. But yeah, just set everything up nicely for the weekend. And what a beautiful morning it was in Leeds as well. Really warm, 17 degrees. It felt like there was just that feeling of, well, there was some horror in it. Some moments of, oh god, it feels like Wigan, because that was that was a beautiful day around sort of this springtime, into Easter. But it also felt like the Stoke Bielsa game, first game of the season, where it's just warm and everyone was just up for it. I don't, I think throughout the whole season, there's just been a lot of nerves and a lot of anticipation, that feeling that we're going to kind of mess it up, and also that expectant feeling that we just shouldn't be here and we should already be in the Premier League. But I think it's got to that crunch point, and rather than everyone sort of faltering and panicking, everyone just seemed really up for it and just excited to be there at the ground. And it's just needed that for so long. But we've had to wait this long to get to a point where, it all really matters, and it does now. We're into the final, well, we were into the final 5, into the final 4, and yeah, just a really brilliant, amazing start to the day. You couldn't have asked for a better start of the game as well.
That is the best of Leeds, isn't it? It's like we've had our little blip and we see ourselves coming through it. And I think the fans play a huge part in that. Like the determination from the fans to drag the team across the line when the team gives them a little something to believe in, which obviously we didn't do last season. Like we really, from the 8 games to go, we really just stumbled completely. Whereas obviously the performances this season, whilst we've been getting a few draws, they've not, as I said, I don't think they've been too bad. And I thought it was an excellent away performance against Boro. As much as we should have been 3-0 up, and you don't want that kind of anxiety at the end that we had with Boro, I think everyone was happy with the steel and the bit of grit that we showed, that northern grit that we showed, to just grind it out and head balls and put bodies on the line and make sure they didn't score. And as you say, that slide tackle from Bamford, probably epitomising everything with a bit of skill at the end of it. And I think it's just given everyone a big boost. I think we're all back aligned again. Fans are fully behind this team. There's no more moaning. We know that at their worst, they've come through it, and they weren't even that bad. And I think we're all believing again.
Yeah, and we've got to kind of call ourselves out here, and we had a bit of a fan meltdown because we're fans, aren't we? That's our perspective, and I think as well it'd be really annoying if you came and listened to the Leeds That podcast and you just had some guys like happy clapping saying it's all going to be fine, because at times it just didn't feel like it was going to be fine. We were playing badly or not good enough against teams that we should have been taking more points from them, particularly coming into this crucial time of the season. So, I think it's all totally valid, and and you do have to throw question marks at Farke at those key points when everything that we talked about in terms of rotations and not happening seem to be causing the issues that we're having now. So I think we're right to talk in that way, but what better way to shut people like us up and get a couple of brilliant results back to back? And it was a great start to the Preston game. Really early goal. Manor Solomon just looked alive from the off as well, just brilliant. And obviously he cut inside from the left onto his right foot and hit an absolute worldie. But I'm always aware when I watch goals of you, Darragh, and your comments, and you always see something a bit extra. I thought I'm going to have a look a bit closer at this goal this time, and I did watch the run from Firpo, and he overlaps as he would on the wing, but actually on the edge of the box. And as he overlaps, he stops the defender from coming to Solomon, so he's in no man's land and doesn't know who to track. So the keeper, when it hits the back of the net, goes ballistic at his right back, but actually Firpo just made a brilliant run, which just gave Solomon the space. So yeah, look out for that when you watch it back. I was pleased with that Darragh-esque analysis, actually.
Very good. Even I'm going to have to watch that back now. But it is those fine margins, like at elite performance sport. There's always something because everyone's so switched on. There has to be something for the mistake.
Yeah.
So if you just watch it closely, you'll see it. That's cool. Good analysis.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good one. Didn't last long though, did it?
No, and that's where you saw the worst of Firpo. Like he just can't defend. Like God love him, he's been brilliant for 2 seasons going forward. But any time he comes up against a half decent winger, he struggles. And I mean, he just gave the guy way too much space. And then I was actually even like that. I was looking to see at what point did the guy, what was it? I can't remember your man's name. At what point did he sell him? Because Firpo obviously thinks he's going down the line, and then he just skips inside and curls it in.
Yeah.
I still can't figure out where Firpo thought he was, because it's not as if he does this brilliant jink and then goes one way and then the other. He just kind of seemed to run in and do it, and then Firpo just kind of jumped out of the way. It was just weird.
It was weird, very weird. One of those things. It hit the back of the net. I was like, well, that's that then. But I wasn't as worried as I'd usually be. I don't know why. I think because we'd started so positively, and I know it was only like 5 minutes in, but it just felt different. Something about it all felt different. Just an air of confidence about us. And like you said about Bamford sort of throwing himself into tackles, you were just getting that all over the pitch yesterday. There's one moment that springs to mind, which was, I think Ampadu was in for a 50-50 and he slide tackled the ball into touch. It like a perfect touchdown to I can't remember who it was on the left. It might have been Solomon. But it's just things where we were making really good tackles, but they were coming off and they were going to our players and not just falling unluckily to one of theirs. And just everyone just seemed to be doing the basics right. There was a moment where we were down the left hand side and we were just playing the ball around a lot, like just pinging it around. And it felt like we just haven't been able to do that for the last few weeks, where we've just been making I guess autonomous decisions, just passing around in triangles and moving and breaking teams up gradually. And it was just good to see us back, like the leads that we've had all season. That has definitely been missing the last few weeks, and felt like it just started to come back against Boro.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I think there has been a bit of rotation in there, whether it's forced or not, makes no difference. Like Nonto was obviously starting, Gruev obviously started, Ampadu, who's missed a lot of the season, started. So there's 3 players who should be pretty fresh-ish coming into that game. And I think you're right, though. There was a different air about the game. We just seemed in control from the off. Passing was crisp. Control was crisp. The only thing that wasn't was Peru's finishing. And I'm sure we'll come on to that in general. But yeah, you're right. There was no panic when that goal went in, because you just felt fair enough, but there's plenty of time left.
Ampadu, you mentioned. Good job he didn't have that surgery, isn't it?
It was a big decision, and it was a brave decision, and it's turning out to be the right decision. Obviously, the risk is that he comes back and gets injured again, and then he's out for the season. But perhaps that was a good risk to take, because if it happened, it happened. 100%, we've needed him. We have absolutely needed him since he's come back in. We have looked better. There's no 2 ways about it.
There's a great ball pinged into Joel Piroux, who tried to make space, put it onto his left, but he ended up sort of dragging it wide of the keeper. And he just seemed to be having one of those afternoons where well, he's had a few weeks, hasn't he, where it's just not really landed for him. He's not scored in about probably 8 games, is it now? Or 1 in 8, is it something
Yeah, I
like
think
that?
it's
I think
8
off the top of my
games now. I know, funny enough, though, yesterday was one of those ones where I still didn't want to take him off because
head.
I'm more
He
worried
was
about
doing well.
players when they're not getting chances.
Yeah,
And I think he's one of those players. He'll get one now, and he might get another couple over the course of a few games. But yeah, I think he was just fiercely unlucky, particularly that one he hit off the crossbar. I mean, that's
yeah.
just one you just get a toe on and it goes where it goes. And he was unlucky that it went 6 inches too high because even another 6 inches lower, it goes in off the bottom of the crossbar and it's happy days. So I thought he was very good actually. To be fair, other than just the bit of finishing, I thought it was the best game for a while. He certainly looked much more mobile. You see him running
Yeah.
after balls and you see him chasing people down. You're going to go, why isn't he doing this all the time? Like he really needs to be adding that to his game on a regular basis because there's, as I've said before, there's no excuse for a professional footballer not being able to run.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he should definitely be scoring more, but he has got 15. He's second top goal scorer in the league. I think Sargent's got 17. He's top, and it just makes you think he could easily be a long way ahead of had he buried some of the chances recently, which is a shame for him. But who knows? He might still get the golden boot of the EFL this year. Who knows? He's not far off. He's up there. So,
Yeah, well,
like you say,
him or
go on.
Jaden Bogle, one of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Great finish by Bogle. Well, I think in general, Bogle was absolutely class yesterday. And there's a point in the second half where he won the ball back, but he sort of fell over with it and he looked absolutely knackered. And I thought he should come off because he just looked absolutely done. He put so much effort in. And yeah, he was brilliant. Great goal. Very happy for him, particularly as you've got your other team. Sorry, his old team conceding a late goal against Plymouth, and he made his choice to come to Leeds at the end of last season. Here he is. There's some juxtaposition for you, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally vindicated. But he did seem like a guy who was on a mission yesterday. It was one of those back to the wall performances for him where it's I am not going to lose this game.
Yeah,
I am going to run myself into the ground. I'm going to make every tackle. I'm going to make every pass. I'm going to put my body on the line. And then when it mattered, he got himself into the middle between two defenders and scored a great goal. Brilliant play by Solomon as well. Looked like he was going to shift it onto his right, I think. It skinned the defender and lodged it in his left and pinpoint cross. Nothing the keeper could do about it.
it's a nightmare to defend against that, isn't it? When you think he's had to defend against him cutting inside for his right in the first one, is he going to do it again? Oh, I don't know. He's going around the other side. It's just horrendous. But yeah, what a great player.
And that's probably the difference between Solomon and Somerville, in that Somerville
Yeah,
had one trick that he could you could cut inside. He was very good at it. He could cut inside and curl it in with his right foot. But Solomon actually has both, and he's smart enough to use both. So if he gives you one, he'll give you the other after that to just keep you guessing. But speaking of that goal, though, I really thought there was two couple of moments straight after the goal I thought were really interesting. Rodon obviously went straight to Farke and started having a powwow with him. Obviously, no idea what that was about. But the one I really liked was while they're celebrating, if you watch Gruev and Nonto, they start talking and they start pointing at the pitch and different things and this, that, and the other. And I thought that's exactly what I wanted to see because over the course of that kind of bad run, where we only won 1-6, the players didn't seem to be adapting quite well to situations on the pitch. Like
no,
they weren't taking responsibility to change things as they were happening. And I thought that's exactly what they're doing there. Now, that's the players taking responsibility. They've seen something on the pitch they need to address. And they're taking the time now during a celebration to talk to each other and figure out how to make it better or how to shut
yeah,
off whatever it is, whatever it was they were talking about. And I
yeah.
just thought that's what I wanted to see. Well done, lads.
Yeah, and we did it as fans, didn't we, as well? When you think about it, you'd have an early goal in the game, and then you think, right, game on, it's going to be 4-0 now. And I think, sometimes, especially less experienced players, it can run away with them, and they think, well, this is going to be easy, isn't it? But I think they've learned through that blip, let's call it. And thankfully, there was still points to be gained in that blip as well, rather than it just being losses. So, yeah, it's kept us where we are. Nonto, actually, is an interesting one because I don't know, this is just my theory on it, but yesterday, and obviously it's because he's not played a lot, but I felt like he's lost a bit of his identity and from not playing and what he's really good at. he seemed to be doing a lot of Dan James-esque stuff, like trying to just run long distances at pace with the ball, or and rather than doing the kind of intricate passing or just trying to nudge it around players, like running at close distance around players. And it just made me think, yeah, I think he just needs more game time and a bit more guidance from Farke to just say, this is what you are, because when he's just dribbling close at people, in players, multiple players around him marking, they've got no chance. But he just seems a bit rusty at the minute. I think you can't say he's poor, because he's not. He's just seems very rusty to me.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually, because I was trying to put my finger on it, because I didn't think he had a bad game at all. And the thing I do like about him is he's always dangerous. Like, he's
Yeah.
always there or thereabouts with a pass.
He's a worry for other teams, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He definitely occupies defenders, and they nearly try to double up on him every time he gets it, which gives other people an opportunity. Now, of course, they got to double up on all of our wingers because they're all very good. But like, he had that low drive that the keeper saved. He had the tap in. Well, it looked like a tap in that he should have absolutely finished. But even in that, he could have had 2 goals in a game. He didn't play particularly well, but obviously didn't play badly in either. But I enjoy Nonto. I think he gives defenders plenty to think about, even if he's not 100% on it, or on his own game, as you say. And there's probably a few like that. Like, I mean, Aronson had a really good chance. He should have buried it. And then obviously the header again, like,
he sort of payrolled it into the ground, didn't he? And then it was like watching an 8-year-old practice headers at training, wasn't it? It wasn't great. Bless
so
him.
Didn't want it to hit his head.
Yeah,
Close his eyes.
Bless him. But he did a good job. And Rocco, actually worth mentioning, Rocco, who I think is a bit gutted that he missed out on it. And obviously we've been rubbing it in his face. I have. But I will say this, Rocco, if you listen back to this, there's a chance I might not be at the next home game. God, because I'm on the family holiday. So Easter weekend. But yeah, what was I saying? Rocco. What was the point Rocco made?
I think it was Rocco being so good at. Were you going to reveal his text messages in the group? Where
I can't remember.
You went and told him that it was the best atmosphere for 30 years. And then this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, he sent in a message going, "Were you not joking? I've heard from everybody it was amazing." And I just wrote back, "I love your anguish."
Yeah, he was very
He
anguished.
was gutted.
But yeah, I mean, the fans in Elland Road, touching on my point from earlier, were amazing. And there was a couple of points in the game where I realised how good we were, in that, when sometimes when you play a side and they're just not used to the noise of a stadium, like it's smaller clubs, bit harsh as Preston, that potentially aren't used to that kind of atmosphere, and just wilted under the pressure of the noise and just passing balls out of play, or just passing them into awkward positions. And I put that purely down to, not purely, but the team obviously pressurising them, but the fans as well. And I think it does make a huge difference.
But Bogle, didn't Bogle say it was the best atmosphere he's ever played it?
Yeah.
He said that after the match, in his post-match.
Yeah, he did. And it was lovely to hear play all the way for Leeds United
Saw
on
the videos, yeah.
Tannoy as well, and at the end of the match. Just amazing. God, what a day. Sorry, Rocco.
Yeah, there's actually.
It'll come back to haunt me, I know it will.
No, won't. Well, yeah, because you could get promoted as Stoke.
That's it.
One thing to touch on, actually, on the match as well, was Darlow's save. The one they had a corner and their man let it run through his legs to a guy at the edge of the box who had a shot. And actually, he made it look fairly routine. Obviously, you saw and you said, "Oh, good save," but then you went, "Nah, he probably should have saved it." I'm not convinced Meslier saves that. And I don't mean this in a bad way. This is not Meslier bashing. But one of his weaknesses was when balls was coming through crowds and he'd get a split step wrong and he'd half go in one direction and then just kind of be standing there as the ball went relatively close to him in the other direction. And I kind of went, I'm not 100% sure Meslier would have saved that, even though Darlow made it look quite routine. He's been brilliant since coming in. It really makes you think, what was the reluctance? He's been excellent.
Yeah. The thing that I've noticed about Darlow is, and he might get these wrong at times, which is fine. Like, people make mistakes to everything, don't they? But he seems to be making a decision at every point. He's already decided what he's going to do. In the Boro game, when there's that one-on-one situation with him quite close and he's on the left-hand post, and he just, rather than sort of spreading himself wider or rushing out, he just stands there and makes himself fairly big, and they just blast it at his chest, basically. And there's just a few moments like that where I just thought, he's just making decisions, and that's good. Like, it's better than the indecision. like the handball.
But they like the one he ran up to the halfway line and tried to punch.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
can
fine.
see the opposition player, I think he was a striker, he turns around, he's like, like, what the hell? Like, he's
Yeah,
looking at the ref being like, ref, seriously, this is ridiculous.
yeah.
It's like 3 feet outside his box.
I was up the other end and didn't realise what had happened at first. And I turned to Adam and sat next to him. He's like, is he on board that? I was like, yeah, I think so. He's been carded by the looks of it. Brendan Aronson cleared that one out though, didn't he? With mocking his header, but did he hit his head on that? I've still haven't seen the replay.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
I was just
there we
laughing
go.
at the punch.
But yeah, and we ended up seeing the game out. Everyone's happy. In the ground, we started to get word of the result at Plymouth, or certainly that there was an equaliser, and then there was in the 88th minute another goal from Plymouth, and yeah, the atmosphere just went up another level, and it was just amazing to be amongst it. And yeah, I've not experienced that for a long time. I don't know when the last time that happened was, but it was really good. Really, really, really good.
With modern football, it doesn't happen that often because you're very often not playing at the same time as other teams.
Yeah, it's true.
So for that to come true, in the last 5 minutes of our game, and also even particularly at half 12 kickoff, because there's never usually another team that kicks off at half 12 as well. So that must have been amazing, like real old school kind of word filtering through the stadium.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys on the road behind us, and they were like, you could hear them shouting around, and we were like, what's going on? And then you're looking around for anyone else who might have the score who's got a signal. And see, I was thinking about this. I went for a run this morning. You'd be amazed, Darragh. We've got a charity football match coming up, so I'm trying to get fit. And I did actually wonder, like, didn't they promise G would be the answer to everything? You'd be able to go to football matches and get a signal. It's like, where is that? It never works.
In fairness, they also promises Brexit would sort out all your problems as well. So
Yeah, exactly. Let's steer clear of
well,
politics. But
speaking of
exactly.
people who were happy on the final whistle, Joe Rodon obviously was absolutely ecstatic at the final whistle. And I think there was a situation during the match, right at the end, where he turned around to the south stand and he kind of looked at them as if to say, like, what's going on? And like people were like going 2-1, 2-1, to Plymouth. So he knew what was going on.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
his outpouring of emotion at the end is a fabulous picture of him kind of giving it one of those with the two clenched fists. And I couldn't be happier for the guy because in the amount of years, was it 19 years, 17, 18 years we've spent in the second division or second tier of English football, should I say, and below, I don't think there's been one player who has turned down top tier football to play for Leeds. And he did that last season. So obviously Leicester came in from to the point where obviously Angus Kinnear said he insisted on being in a photo shoot when he was still on loan because he knew he wanted to play for Leeds.
Yeah,
And I imagine there's a bit of that in him saying, yes, obviously I do want to play for Leeds, but I want to play for Leeds. I want to get to the Premier League with Leeds. And
yeah,
that's what I want to do. So I think if we don't go up this season, I think no one's going to be more gutted than him. But just
yeah,
to vindicate that old school decision of saying, no, I want to go where my heart is. I don't want to just chase the money in the bright lights of the Premier League because it's where everyone says I'm supposed to be. Like a bit like Calvin Phillips, but obviously different because he's not homegrown. It's like it will mean more to me if I do it here at Leeds.
yeah.
And I'm just so happy for the bloke, and I really hope that we see it through for everybody, obviously, but also for Joe Rogan.
I know we obviously have the Welsh contingency running through our team: Darlow, Rodon, Ampadu, Dan James. But that kind of attitude and wanting to be in the club, really fighting for it, and then also going away with those players at a country level as well is a really good thing. I know there's a bit of risk in us just having the Wales team, but
Don't forget
but
Gareth Bale from 10 years ago. Like taking him.
yeah, but I think there's something in that, and I think when you've got that attitude, you do need it. You do need it in your team because I think it needs to be installed in the younger players as well. You want people that are coming into the team to really understand and get it. And I think of the future and Harry Gray, and you want players in there that sort of get it and can teach them. And who knows, next year we might be in the Premier League playing against Archie Gray. The Spurs are 15th at the minute, so that's lovely, isn't it? We should probably touch on. Well, we've talked about Plymouth, Sheffield United, so yeah, cracking result going our way. the third loss on the bounce. It felt like luck was finally catching up with them, or bad luck was finally catching up with them, because they've had so many games that they've won, scraped wins when they didn't deserve it, and it felt like the tide's been turning the last week or so. So where Leeds have had their bad run of draws, it hasn't been this bad. I mean, it still could be bad, couldn't it? But at this point, it's not.
No, we can only take it where we are as of now. And if we look at our bad run, we had 3 draws, and that's 3 points. Whereas they've obviously had 3 defeats, and they've missed out on 3 points. Now, if they had gotten those 3 draws instead, they'd only be 2 points behind us, and it'd still be game on, because that can change in one win. So it goes to show Farke was right, about Luton. It wasn't a bad point on the road, and that's why I wasn't too despondent about Luton. But I thought, fair play to Farke, he said himself. And I thought it was a bit of spoof at the time, just trying to rally the troops. But no, it turns out he was right. This time of year, teams are scrapping. You go away from home. A point isn't the worst result in the world. But the thing I loved about Sheffield United is Wilder has just lost it. He has just...
It's amazing.
To be honest, he's been a bit weird all season, because you're right. They have been absolutely lucky as F all season. And I think... you were hoping that it would happen to Ipswich last season, but to be fair to Ipswich last season, they weren't just lucky. They were decent. Anytime I saw their highlights, they looked like a good footballing team, and you were just hoping that they might just fall off, because they were obviously just coming up from League One. But Sheffield United have looked crap, and if you look at the metrics for many of their games, they tend to get dominated and then win 1-0. And I'm just delighted that it's coming back to haunt them. It's funny, I like Simon Jordan, and a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I do like Simon Jordan. I don't agree with everything he says, but I do like some of the stuff he says. But they asked him who he thought was going to win the league or get promoted between Burnley, Sheffield United and Leeds. And this is when Leeds were in the middle of our slump. And he said, whichever one has the manager with the calmest head. He said, whoever, because that will be the leader that a team will need to keep everyone calm and grind out results. And I thought to myself, well, if he turns out to be right, that'll be Farke. And to see it come so spectacularly with Wilder, even back far, mind the gap, Sheffield Wednesday, and all weird stuff like that, to just completely implode now, having a go at his own fans, trying to fight Darko JB for trying to walk into a tunnel.
It's amazing.
It was brilliant. It's absolutely
amazing.
Brilliant.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like having a pop at his own fans was great in the press in the week, because I just thought, this is it. Like this is the start of his head going, because I said it earlier on in the season when we played them, where you just had to have a pop at Leeds fans when we won at Bramall Lane, and there's just something just really petulant about the man that spoils everything for him. He does his best to say stay level headed. They just can't help it. Never liked him, and he deserves it. Simple as that.
He does. And speaking of deserving it, that's a bad loss for them. That's one day, if they don't go up, or at least even if they hit the playoffs, that's going to be one they're going to remember for a long, long time. That's their Wigan.
Oh yeah,
they were 1-0 up to the team bottom of the league with 80 minutes to go, or 80 minutes gone, and they lost 2-1. That is their Wigan.
We've got to play them, and we've got to play Oxford, who they lost to as well.
Yeah, but we're not them.
Yeah, it feels different. We feel different this time. And you touched on... sorry, go on, Darragh.
I was going to say, Oxford have, for anyone who doesn't know, Oxford have actually won their last 2 games. They won in midweek as well. Or did they win yesterday? Either way, they're now 6 points better off than they were when they played Sheffield United. So they're pretty much safe, which is, I don't think they're going to give it to us anything on a plate, but it does make a difference. Scrapping for your life versus not scrapping for your life in the Championship does make a big difference.
Yeah, massive. And you did mention the number of draws as well, and we've had... So I will put on the YouTube version of this the table comparisons of after 42 games last season and this season. So at this point, we had 87 points, and this season we've obviously got 88. So this didn't look good 2 games ago. We were behind. We were tracking behind, and as Rocco pointed out in our group as well, we actually went into a bit of a meltdown in this period. And did we lose 4?
Yeah,
can't remember.
We only won 1 point, I think. No, that was the Bielsa year. The last 4 games, we only won 1 point.
Yeah, so I mean, we can have a downturn. We've proved to have done that, but it does feel different this time. But yeah, in terms of draws, we've had 13 this season. Last season we had 9, but we have had 3 less losses. So yeah, we're in a great position. And what I would love is if we finish above Sheffield United by 2 points with a solid goal difference, because it means that even if they had the 2 points at the start of the season, we would have gone up, which is nice, isn't it?
I just want us to have. I just want us to have a good time at Bristol. My flight's been long booked, and I'm
Looking
looking
forward
forward
to
to that
that.
game. I've had that earmarked for the season, and I've said all season that's the game we'll get promoted in, and Plymouth is the game for the title. But that Burnley Sheffield United game is getting to look very very tasty. And
Yeah.
what's interesting about it now is, assuming we all win, or let's even just assume that Sheffield United win on the weekend on Friday. All Burnley will be thinking is that's a must not lose. Because if they don't lose it, they maintain a gap going into the last 2 fixtures. And that's going to be huge. And Burnley are the draw masters. Like if Burnley set out for a draw, Burnley are getting a draw. That's as simple as that. They will literally park the bus, and Sheffield United do not have what it takes to break them down. If anything, they might catch them on the break. So
It will be an interesting game. That I'm looking forward to watching it, and depending on the position. Well, no, I'm still looking forward to it. I think we'll be in a good position come that game, and we'll be better coming out of it as well. Basically, won't we?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
either way.
even if the worst comes to worst against Oxford, that game just could be the great equaliser for everything.
Mm, yeah.
But I tell you what, I'll jump into my prediction, right? So this is what I think is going to happen for the rest of the season. So I did say we'd actually go unbeaten for the rest of the season. So there's a chance we might get a draw or a loss against Oxford, right? I think Sheffield United will win, but I think that game against Burnley is going to be either a Burnley win or a Sheffield United draw. Well, we beat Stoke, and that's going to be it. It's going to be jobs are good and 5 points ago with 2 games or perhaps more. I think we're going to be all right. And we beat Bristol to seal promotion. There's no way
God,
Sheffield United are coming away from Burnley, and it's played at Turf Moor. There's no way they're winning that game. I just can't
is
see it. No way
it like
Burnley let them win, because it's not a must win for Burnley. It's just a must not lose, and they've
it's
got
like
the best defense ever in the history of the championship.
feels like that. Why is it always Burnley? It ends up being last game of the season. It was Burnley Newcastle, wasn't it, when we played Brentford away, and we were relying on the result as well. Yeah, I don't want to call it, but it all feels good. I was the one saying you two were absolutely mental and that we were out of it a few weeks ago, and I can't. I'm as happy as anyone that we're in this position, and I didn't know Sheffield United were going to lose 3 on the bounce, so that's
Nobody did. Nobody
no.
saw that coming.
And if they had won 2 out of those, it'd still be pretty tight, wouldn't it? So, wow, what a few games. Farke in the numbers, LUFC data. Key numbers behind Daniel Farke's 100 matches in charge of Leeds United. Only Leeds United manager to reach 57 wins in 100 matches. Highest win rate of any permanent Leeds manager or head coach in the club's history at 57%. Undefeated in all 48 championship matches in which Leeds have scored first. So, good record, that.
It's incredible, actually. Like, it really is. And yet, I still have my what I believe to be very valid criticisms.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they are criticisms. They're not. I absolutely love Daniel Farke. I think as I said, I think he's exactly what this club needed
Yeah.
2 years
No one's
ago when he
infallible,
came
are
in.
they?
No, exactly. That's it. I'm just calling out the lack of rotation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm delighted for him, and I really hope he gets his chance in the Premier League, because he said from the start, not only will I get Leeds promoted, but I have a plan for if I do. And I think with the players he's brought in, his recruitment has been spot on, whether that's the recruitment team or him, and I'm sure he's part of it. I would have faith that he would bring in good players if we go up, to give us a half a chance of staying up.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes. But maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We've still got 4 games to go. And
Yeah,
I'm giving out to
I
you
can't
guys
take
in
my
the
head.
group saying 1 game at a time. And now I'm
Yeah.
talking about
I
next
know,
season and
you are.
signing players.
To the general Leeds public, talking ahead of yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't think that far ahead. I'm just thinking about the next game, Oxford, and then we've got Stoke. Huge, huge games. It is Easter weekend where it all went wrong before against Wigan, so it could be our Easter weekend again. As simple
I'll
as
never
that.
forget that as long as I live. I'll never forget that.
I went with my mate Chris to it, convinced that we were going to win. And I thought about it today. It haunted me, the Pablo penalty miss, and awful. But this is a different Leeds United, different times, different everything. So hopefully we're going to have an episode coming to you in the week. So look out on your feeds for that. Rocco should be doing that one. He'll be back.
We'll put him to work.
We'll put him to work. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc., make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, leave a comment, all that stuff. It helps us out on the podcast. We do have a jingle from David Dean that we're supposed to play, but and last week I left it out of the edit because the file just didn't work. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think that's it.
You're getting better at this subscribe stuff.
Well, I don't like doing it, but we don't have to do it either, but I know we should do it. So.
Look, it's free. It's free to subscribe, and it helps us. So why wouldn't anyone do it?
It does help. It does help us. So yeah, thank you very much. Sorry. One last thing. 2 birthdays in the last week. We've had Lucas, his 56th birthday, Lucas Radeby, pointing to your book on your shelf. And it was also Pablo's 40th, Pablo Hernandez's 40th birthday. So yeah, very happy birthday to those two. So Darragh, let's leave on this point. You said Simon Jordan had mentioned calm heads are the ones that are going to win this league. That's what we need from Leeds fans. Calm heads, and we'll get there in the end. Touch wood.
Fire in the belly and a knife between the teeth.
That's between
worst.
the teeth.
That was bad. That was bad. Yeah, sorry.
On that note, we'll see you next time. Cheers.